Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Corey Graves, and I'm here with a new tag team champions. Hey, Corey. My name is Martel, and this is my tag team partner, Angelo, and this is my lovely wife, Bianca. And together, we are the Street Profits, and we want the smoke. We are glad to become the new tag team champions, and we will make this division relevant again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to XTW Against All Odds, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the home of Kenneth, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Brock Lesnar and Kenneth is in the ring, ladies and gentlemen. First, Kenneth, he punched Brock Lesnar with a right hand to the head, ladies and gentlemen, and he punched him with another right hand to the head. And then, ladies and gentlemen, Brock Lesnar punched Kenneth with a right hand to the head, and he punched with another right hand to the head. And then Brock Lesnar grabbed Kenneth by the head, and ladies and gentlemen, he do a right knee to Kenneth. And then Brock Lesnar picks up Kenneth. It look like he finna do the F5. Then Brock Lesnar, he do the F5 on Kenneth. Then, ladies and gentlemen, Brock, he goes for the pin. 1, 2 counts. And then Brock Lesnar, he grabbed Kenneth by the back of the head, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, he throws him to the ring post. And now Brock Lesnar got Kenneth in the corner of the ring. And then he tackled Kenneth in the midsection. And then he tackled Kenneth again in the midsection. And then he tackled Kenneth again in the midsection. And then Kenneth, he punched Brock Lesnar with a right hand. And he falls to the mat, ladies and gentlemen. Then, ladies and gentlemen, Brock Lesnar, he gets up, ladies and gentlemen. And Kenneth, he calls Brock Lesnar to the mat, ladies and gentlemen. And Brock Lesnar falls to the mat. And Brock Lesnar comes up behind Kenneth, and he do a German suplex on Kenneth. Brock Lesnar comes over to Kenneth, and then he kick him with a right knee. And Brock kicks Kenneth again with a right knee. And ladies and gentlemen, he kicked him again with a right knee to the midsection. And ladies and gentlemen, Kenneth, he hits Brock Lesnar with a right knee, ladies and gentlemen. And Brock Lesnar falls to the mat. And then Kenneth, he grabs Brock Lesnar. Then he do a DDT on Brock Lesnar, ladies and gentlemen. Then, ladies and gentlemen, Kenneth go for the pin. 1, 2 counts, ladies and gentlemen. It look like Brock Lesnar, he got Kenneth in his arm bar hold with Kenneth tap out. When Kenny tap out to Brock Lesnar. But it look like Brock Lesnar is putting pressure on Kenneth right arm, ladies and gentlemen, with Kenneth tap out. When Kenny tap out to Brock Lesnar, it look like Kenneth look like he's trying to make it over to the ropes. And ladies and gentlemen, it look like Kenneth has made it to the ropes. So Brock Lesnar had to let go of his arm hold, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, it look like Kenneth, he's trying to get off the mat, ladies and gentlemen. But Brock Lesnar had grabbed Kenneth by his waist. And then Brock Lesnar, he grabbed Kenneth and he do a suplex on Kenneth. And then he comes up behind Kenneth again. Look like Brock Lesnar, he's grabbing Kenneth again. And then Brock Lesnar grabs Kenneth again. And he do another suplex on Kenneth. And it look like Brock Lesnar is trying to do another German suplex. But Kenneth, he's holding on to the ropes. He's holding on to the ropes. And then Kenneth, he hits Brock Lesnar with a right elbow. And he hits him with another right elbow. It look like Kenneth has slid under Brock Lesnar. Then Brock Lesnar, he turns around. And then Kenneth, he spears Brock Lesnar, ladies and gentlemen. He spears Brock Lesnar. And then Brock Lesnar comes up behind Kenneth and he do Us flex on Kenneth. Suplex City, bitch. Ladies and gentlemen, it look like Kenneth is hurt. And it look like Brock Lesnar, he trying to pick up Kenneth. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenneth, he punched Brock Lesnar with a left hand. Ladies and gentlemen, it looked like he got brass knuckles. Ladies and gentlemen, where the hell did Kenneth get brass knuckles from? It looked like Kenneth had laid out Brock Lesnar. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenneth, he picks up Brock Lesnar, ladies and gentlemen. It looked like he's gonna do the painful sacrifice. Painful sacrifice. The painful sacrifice to Brock Lesnar. And then Kenneth goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. The winner of this match is Kenneth. Has defeated Brock Lesnar, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for some more action on XTW Against All Odds 2021.